I am a proud Barkindji man. And Barker is the Darling River. So that is where we get our name from, the Barker River. And it's where we originate. Okay. Our people came from those waterways thousands and thousands of years ago. And it's just really deep to know the history of where we come from and, my people, where we originate. And it all comes down to the dream time, all those true knowledge stories that have been, passed down over time, which gives you the knowledge on how these waterways and, a lot of the mountains and everything else, the land, the skies and everything was created through this country. And me as a Barkindji man, it's it means a lot to be able to connect and understand that a little bit more. So
and so where is that country in
Barkindji? Our people are in New South Wales, around the Broken Hill area, and years and years ago there was a lot of different mobs around the same area, and when colonisation started, moved all into sort of a group, and this is how multiple different nations. Barkindji was one of them, and there's a lot of other river people that were all brought together, and and then sort of separated throughout Victoria and New South Wales. So we have multiple different groups that share sort of the same lands along the riverway. So we've got the Darling River, and then it meets up with the Murray River in Wentworth in New South Wales, and sort of that's what that town's famous for, the two rivers meeting. And that's where a lot of our history is, being river people around this area. So Mildura is our closest major town, border town, on the border of New South and Victoria. So cross the bridge and you're in New South Wales. I live in Victoria.
I'm a Queenslander at heart. So
right. Lovely piece of country, lovely, beautiful, up that way.
Yeah, well, I say that right, but I was born on Gadigal country, conceived Bundjalung up Northern Rivers.
Yeah, right.
And then grew up in Canberra till I was 15, and then we moved up to Brisbane, Meerjin, and there's many different elements of the land, and that's held me just so beautifully in life. And I'm 52 now, and I would say that my connection to country and the understanding of country and communication with country, even though it's always been there and held me and helped sculpt me, it's only been recently that I've really started to connect in with that. And this is one of the reasons I want to have a conversation with you, is because of curiosity. It's okay.
That's so crazy that you're only just getting into it, 52 years old now, and the country is getting through to you by the sounds.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, right? So for me, I grew up in the 80s. And back in the 80s, if you're lucky, you had encyclopedias, right? And so all I learned from encyclopedias was that the white people colonized Australia, or even use the word settled Australia, and there was nothing settled about it. But that's how I was taught. And then when I was 19, 20, I was in a university lecture with a sociologist, and he was talking about Australian Indigenous cultures. And it just occurred to me, because he was talking about how intricate and deep and they were, and the wisdom, and how it had been passed on for many, many, many tens of thousands of years at least, right? Possibly, I'm going to go with hundreds of thousands of years. And I remember sitting there and I thought, I've been lied to. This is what was portrayed to me about Indigenous people in Australia. It's not true. Like the whole savages stuff. And I know we're kind of going deep straight in, and I'm conscious of the language as well, because I have like this emotional thing with the language. I'm like, ugh, fuck. But that was my that was what most people my age were taught. And it's just that when I got to that age, it was like, hang on a second, we've been lied to. And so I've always had this curiosity around, well, what is the truth? What is the truth? And you use the phrase before, the true knowledge. Yeah. And so I'm wondering if we can try and play and put it in words, see where it comes, right?
Yeah.
For you, what is true knowledge?
It's a good question. True knowledge. It's just truth. Like you said, you were sort of brainwashed in a way. You were lied to at a young age. You had a misconception of Indigenous people, natives, savages, or whatever you might have thought of us. The true knowledge is exactly who you are. All right, yeah, here we go. True knowledge is who a human being is and who you are and who your soul is, all right? And where do you come from? I've just got my brother here, that's all. He's just rocking up. He just went out to the gym or whatever he does. And I'll introduce you to him if you don't mind. Bill, are you there, bud?
Yeah.
Come and say hello to, what's your name again, my brother? Ash Perro. Oi, bro, I'm on my first podcast, cuz. Come say hello. So me and him, we've been building our social media platforms together, and over time we've got 3 million followers throughout globally, and we share positivity, inclusion, diversity. We're the brother boys, and we're a big deal in this country, ain't we, my brother? Get your ass over here.
Yeah. Well, I have a saying, because people sometimes say to me, "Are you famous?" And I always just say, "Well, it depends who you ask."
Yeah, well, this fella here is quite famous, aren't you, mate? Yeah, so we've got 1.5 million followers on TikTok, and we've got 600,000 on Instagram, nearly a million on Facebook. Oh, there's the camera over there. Look, chuck your big head up on there. Oh, your sister's calling. Here he is here. Hello.
Hey, brother.
This is the...
Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's her.
You going to the gym, are you?
What's that, sorry?
Are you going to go work out?
I just did.
Oh, you just did, right. How's your day going?
Yeah, good.
But yeah, so if you ever get bored, jump on Instagram, TikTok or anything and check out your brother boys. That's us there.
Nice.
We've been creating content for about 6 years and just showcasing the difference between our brotherhood. We're very diverse, aren't we, my bro?
Yeah, we are.
So we just showcase that regardless of our differences. He's a white Down syndrome man, and I'm a proud black Barkindji man, and we just feel the best brothers that anyone could ever ask for. He gives me shit, and I deal with a lot of stuff, but hey, it's good fun.
I do it all the time.
Beautiful.
That's what it's all about. He pranks me all the time, and he calls himself Mr. Unprankable, so he's always winning.
Yeah. Well, it's a dangerous label to put on yourself, Mr. Unprankable, because people will be trying to break that label.
He invites it, and he proves that he's unprankable, so he lives up to his name. Anyway, buddy, you can go and relax now if you want, man.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, so that's like I was saying earlier with the social media, and I've been on there for a few years. Me and him, it's changed our whole world. It's changed our life, and we get to travel this country and we really get to showcase who we are and what we do, and we really get to encourage and inspire other people out there that want to live more and know more about themselves. Which comes back to that question that you asked me earlier about the true knowledge. I feel like true knowledge is hidden within yourself. All right, and over time, with systems, with things that are implemented in for you to live alongside. You know what I mean? You get distracted and stressed and focus on things that aren't really that important. And then you lose sight of true knowledge, which is who you are. Right. And I feel like human beings have powers and abilities within themselves they never really get to tap into. Okay. And that's just working alongside the land, connecting to country, listening, learning, and doing what you're being told. And it invites you into a world, a whole different life that people would never really get to experience. And true knowledge is tapping into that, I feel.
Yeah, I not that I want to make it about me, but I can relate in that I didn't listen for a good part of my life. And about 10 years ago, I literally died. Literally was in hospital. They were trying to keep me alive. I left my body and went through this process where, I left. I was gone. Like, I'd totally gone. And I went through this process, and at the end of it, I was saying, I want to stay. I want to stay. And I said, I want to stay for the work that I do and walk the planet from my heart. And then as soon as I said that, straight back into my body, opened my eyes, the emergency team, I could hear them saying, his eyes are open, he's breathing, we got a pulse, all this kind of stuff. But afterwards,
goosebumps, mate. That story is amazing. You're here for a massive reason, mate, and you're pursuing it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then afterwards, I was like, I wasn't listening to my heart. I wasn't listening. And so the last 10 years has been, okay, coming back into listening. And so, for example, asking you to come on the podcast, just listening, whereas that would be a good conversation. I'm going to reach out and see if you're open to having a chat. All right.
I'm so glad.
It's the listening and the extension of listening to country. This episode of Beyond Turning Points is proudly sponsored by the Pure Impact Academy. Pure Impact Academy is for heart-led professionals and leaders who know their work matters. You care deeply, you show up, and yet visibility can feel challenging, effortful, or draining. So inside the Academy, the transformation is from effortful leadership, where things feel forced or difficult, to natural leadership. So rather than posting and hoping, what we're doing is we're communicating with clarity and traction and connecting with the people you want to help with your work. So what will happen in Pure Impact Academy if you join is you learn how to articulate your work in ways that people feel seen and heard and feel like you're the person to help them. And you also learn to work with your inner critic, so visibility no longer feels like it's a challenge for you. What does this mean? Well, this means you build momentum. Momentum is one of the most powerful things that you can access. So in Pure Impact Academy, you also get the Messaging Matters course. There's an AI school that I run. I teach AI strategies. There's a Visibility Lab where it's a hands-on workshop each fortnight where you can learn about your own visibility blocks and how to navigate criticism, conflict, being seen, self-judgment, perfectionism, procrastination, all those things that we know and love about ourselves. And the goal is you have inner clarity, outer visibility, and heart-led momentum. And that way your work is going out in the world and helping the people that you want to help. Instead of guessing and trying to attract people in a way that's uncertain, you have much more certainty around your messaging. If that sounds like something you'd be interested, the link is in the show notes. Feel free. You can also message me on socials. You can DM me and I'll be very happy to answer any of your questions. Look forward to hearing from you.
I'll go back, bro. Let me just go back to who I am. As a young man, I faced all the systems and I faced the unfortunate upbringing of an Aboriginal child. Okay. And I grew up, I was born in the 80s, the last year of the 80s, 89. And I grew up in the 90s. And, our communities were filled with alcohol, violence. Wasn't as many illicit drugs as there is nowadays. But there was always a divide, a misunderstanding, which causes conflict between, our own community members. And it made me realize and witness so many different things. And because of that, my mother and my father were not in the most loving relationships, and within Aboriginal families, there's domestic violence and things like this we're witnessing. And man, I'm not gonna lie, fucked me up, as a young fella. And what really fucked me up is this one memory I have. It's really vivid. And I went to school, and I'm the oldest of 3 young boys at the time. And I go to school, and as I get back, I'm 6 years old, and there's all these cars parked in my, driveway, and they're all like, flash government looking cars with red numbers, and letters for the number plates, the cops and everything there as well. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And I remember mum's crying and brothers, everyone's just confused, like, didn't know what was happening. And mum's just saying, sorry, son, you just have to go with them. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, where to? Why? And it was just a time where everything just changed for me, I thought we had a nice little family. I thought we were living pretty decent. And all of a sudden, that was it. That was our whole family just smashed to bits, and it's like stolen generation. I never got returned to basically Aboriginal people until I was a teenager again, and I bounced from home to home, all different cultures, races, and backgrounds. And I learned so much about society and how other people view Aboriginal people from the outside. And then I just, I guess, learned to assimilate, learned that you got to work, bro. You got to go and get a job, just like how we are all doing it, like in these other families and that. And at the same time, I'm bringing what I learned from living with the, inside the communities and things like this. And I guess the families were so nice, and I will never forget how much respect I've always had for those fellas to allow me and my brothers into their homes to try to give us a better place, a better upbringing than, what they thought we were living in. And that just, it just made me learn a lot about Aboriginals from the outside. And that what
Mhm.
really shaped me into a man that wasn't proud of being an Indigenous man. An Aboriginal fella that is living with the likes of all different backgrounds, colours, races, and everything. And I'm looking at my own people, my own family. Like, what the fuck are you just doing? Get off the drugs and the grog and grow up, wake up to yourself, get a job and do that. You know what I mean? It can't be that hard and all this. The same shit I was, brainwashed, and the things that was drummed into my brain, you know, having a view on my own people, which was very negative. So it just didn't make me feel proud, right? So I didn't, I guess, like, come to terms with me being, you know, a black fella. You know what I mean? And then things changed, man. Like, let me just skip a lot of life, okay? And then I get to, like you said earlier, how things changed when you were at that moment where you didn't know if you were coming back. You thought this might be the end of it, or wait, I got things to do. Yeah, so I ain't going nowhere. And then it changed, man. Some country connected to me and said, you are a black man. You are a proud black man. The shit that you believe is false. Everything, bro, come on, grow up. Look, connect to your people. Go and listen to the elders. Go and listen to who you are. Find out where you come from, all right? And then, I started, by the age of 13, I was returned back to my mum. Never seen my father ever again. Still don't ever want to see that idiot. But when I returned back to mum, by this stage, she was living in the center of, like, the hood or the streets or whatever you want to call it. And all my brothers and cousins, and it was all tight community, everyone all living out there as, how we all live in those, some missions and hoods and things like that where, there's a lot of alcohol. No one really goes to work. We spend our time with each other throughout the day,
Mm.
telling stories, having laughs, having a fight. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's just standard family stuff. And I then started to learn this, and I'm like, okay, so this is our radio. So this is the Aboriginals that white fellas witness. All right. So this is okay. So you do fight, you do drink, use all whatever, but it's actually fun out here, man. Shit, these fellas are real. Yous aren't faking it. Yous aren't bullshitting. Yous aren't trying to be anything else. You know what I mean? And that's when I come to terms with the reality of real people and a feeling of different type of connection. And there's no fakes. There's no trying to impress anyone. It's just people telling you what you need to know or who they are, and they'll tell you exactly who they are without trying to fake it. Right. And that's when I'm like, and that's what just opened my eyes up to, I think it was like a freedom, a sense of, like, I feel loose now. I'm not having to hold on to all this, like a weight off your shoulders type thing. So then, mixed up with the boys, and then we just went down the path where, the standard stuff as a young lad, you're trying to become, I don't know, into the man, you don't have a father around, and you just got your brothers, your cousins, and whoever you hang out with all day, every day. And we could have went to school. A lot of the times we didn't really go to school much. We had other things to do, which was it sounds stupid, man, but it was fun to just like smash street lights and things like this. Okay, there's a new
Mhm.
getting built over there, and there's a new road, and there's all these new street lights they're putting in there before they start running the irrigation pipe, like plumbing and everything else they do. Let's smash all their street lights first. It sounds so dumb, but it was fun. You know what I mean? This is entertainment.
Mhm.
We don't know how white
Yeah.
men live, I guess, out here. We're just trying to entertain ourselves and just do what we think's fun. And then when the cops get involved and people start chasing us around the street, that just adds another bit of entertainment, you know? And we don't
Mhm.
see what we're doing to the community. We don't see that, there's other people out there seeing this, witnessing this, and thinking, man, you are never going to become anything. Look at you, running around doing stupid shit like this. You know what I mean? And that's just the first step. And over time, then you start to go a little bit down that path of more crime, not realizing that it's actually crime. It's criminal activity. And then you start to get on, the beers and then you just start doing the normal teenage shit. Or I thought was normal teenage shit for Aboriginal people anyway. The
Mm.
crime steps up, man. And I remember breaking into houses and, stealing bikes and, you know, blaming it. I'll tell you my first fight, eh? I ended up liking fighting. I turned into this violent follower that just enjoys, I don't know, hurting people. I guess I got a lot of frustration and a lot of skills that I love to unleash on some people. But how it all worked out, man, is that I remember stealing a bike, my first bike, from one of the white lads around the corner. And I stashed it around my auntie's house there, and one of my cousins come around and he goes, "What's this? Is that?" And he knew whose bike it was, all right? And that was his friggin' friend. So this sneaky little rat, he goes around and he hung out with him. He goes, "Yeah, Kyran's got your bike there, bro." So he came around and my first little, anyway, so sorted it out. And then old mate didn't want to fight or nothing. I just apologized and said, "Man, stupid thing to do here, have your bike back." And we were all friends. We still stayed friends. And this is the community. And then I turned the other bloke that snitched, that ratted on me. That's against the code. You don't go snitching, cuz you don't go do that shit. And I knew that, but I never knew how to fight. But I knew, bro, you broke the code, cuz we're gonna have to fight, man. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I ended up going over to him, and I think I just pushed or shoved him, and I knew he's the one that you don't fuck with. He'll smash you, bro. So, but I had to stand my ground. It's part of the streets. I'm learning this shit.
Mhm.
He turned around and he sort of just said, "Piss off, boy, I'll smash you. You go away." And then I just knew straight away. I looked at his hands and I remember thinking, man, he's got solid fist. Whew, nah, I'm going. But I remember sitting at home, bang, 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 bang. This is the first time introduced to a fight, the streets and dealing with problems. This is how you deal with it. Bang, bang, bang at the door. Mum's there. And she goes, "Oh, who's at the door?" And then I looked at the window and I could see Peter standing there. "Kyran, get out of here, bud. He wants to have a crack." "Mum, Peter's in. He wants to have a go." "What for? What the fuck? What's he here for? Ordering you out?" "Nah, just over some stolen shit and nah, don't worry, just tell him to go away, Mum. I don't want to fight this boy. Tell him to piss off." "No, son, you don't have people rocking up to my house here ordering and you out, and then you think that it's okay to just tell him to piss off. I ain't dealing with your battles. You get yourself into some
Mhm.
shit. People rock up at this house ready to have a crack at you. You got to make sure that no one ever comes back here ever again. I'll go out there and make a name for yourself. Just don't be a little girl, all right?"
Mhm.
I had no dad. I had no big brother. I had nothing like that. I had my mum, right? And she was hard, very loving, very nice, but she raised us tough as well, which is what we needed to be able to survive
Mm.
in the streets and that. So she goes, "Come on, son, get out of here. You're having to go with this Peter." And she just dragged me by the hand, and I'm sitting there, "No, I don't want to have a go with Peter. I've seen him smash too many people." I was shitting myself. Dragged me out the front there and out in the middle of the road. She goes, "Son, all you have to do, you just have to throw. You just have to get into it, have a crack. Who knows? You're going to smash you, you're going to smash him. Who cares? He's only young, but you got to learn." I was shitting. Mum just goes whack and just smacks this Peter. as an example, it's not hard. Whack, you know what I mean? Poor kid just starts crying and carrying on, and then he just ran straight at me. His anger just, and then, come on, I'll unleash on you. And he came at me, and he gave me a good eye, and he dusted me up pretty well. And then at least, and it just gave me a thing like, man, I ain't never ever dealing with this ever again. I'm never getting smashed up by anybody ever again. This is humiliating, and I feel like a little pussy. I feel like, nah, man. So after that, I just that's when I just took on board. I think it just gave something in me, man, that just enjoyed some sort of fight, and I've always had it. I've always had this anger, I guess, and anger as to what happened to me as a young child. You got all these questions about who you are, why you had to deal with this shit, why you had to be born black, why you have to, you know what I mean? And it gives you a frustration. So when I started to feel that I can release this through violence, there was a sense of satisfaction. And that was a taste of, okay, yeah, so we fight each other out in the street. All right, then who's next? Let's have a go then. So then there was the next brother, you know what I mean? And by this stage, I'm sort of encouraging this. You're going to let me talk to you like that, cuss? I'll say some stupid, cheeky shit. You're going to let me say that, bro? Really? Yeah, well, little pussy again. You know what I mean? And I'd sort of like, I'm always an intimidator. I don't start it. I'd always say something for them to then turn it against me. And I'm happy to then switch and say, oh, you want to go down that route, cuz? Come on. I never tried to make it like it was my fault. It was sort of sneaky, manipulating ways. And and it got me a lot of charges doing that over time, I guess, down the track when I got into my adulthood. And it just went on and on. And drugs, I've never been on any real heavy drugs. It was just sort of weed mixed with grog, and you mix with that, plus a lot of confusion about who you are, a lot of the problems that you dealt with growing up. And you combine that with just this warrior, you know what I mean? Inside, I was like, no one can ever mess with me because I'm too dangerous now. All right. I know, like, because I did practice, you know what I mean? For whatever reason, I got humiliated when I got smashed. And I said, I ain't never getting, because it just went around town. Oh, boy, you couldn't even fight, couldn't even protect yourself. Got smashed up. And yeah, I think it was just a humiliation. So I was like, no, I want to be on the other side. I want to be the guy giving the hidings. So I just straightened up and turned myself into this little animal. But I wouldn't say I was just going out searching for fights. You know what I mean? I was always for fun. I always liked the entertainment and enjoyment and just try to get along. Until the grog, bro, and this is an issue with our people, and it's an issue with that frigging drug, is that, and it depends on how you grow up. It depends on genetics, DNA and all that. But for me, I remember I couldn't handle it after a while. I'd reach a limit of like certain few beers and it's no longer fun. Or it could take something that triggers this little thought process and that doesn't change after that. I might look as though I'm fun, positive on the outside, but in my mind, I'm like just waiting for the victim. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for him to just show himself. So then I can be a smart ass and wait for him to then hit me and then it's over, bro. You know what I mean? And I wake up in the cells. And that went on for a little while. I wouldn't say it happened all the time, but it just happened a few times. And then I started to think, man, I don't know about this alcohol anymore. Because I'd wake up and I'd feel so guilty, my fists were sore and I'd do this and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd feel like, oh, sore lip, sore jaw, sore head. And I'd just be like, yeah, someone smacked me. I smacked somebody else. And I just knew it was always resorting to violence. And that's how nights would end up being. And there was a lot of crime. There's a lot of other things mixed up in there as well. But for me, I just love the fight. Yeah. I ended up, I got a job with the New South Wales Police Force as an ACLO, which is an Aboriginal Client Liaison Officer, which is a middleman between the community and cops. All, community members.
I guess you knew the police pretty well by then, right?
Yeah, I did. But before I got that job, I started to do other little community things. And before that, there's always been this, bro. This is what still sort of confuses me why I love to fight, right? The other boys like to make money. So they'd be dealing drugs. Boys be running to Melbourne back and forth for bags and that, right? And that's where I was, and that's when the court started coming, and boys were, getting caught and then going to court, and lads started to go to jail. I started to witness these things. I wasn't caught for anything yet at this point. And then that's when I started to notice the boys are messaging, calling up, Doomra, no, I'm just at court for the day, man. Come down, hang out here. And then courthouse seemed to be more like a little hangout spot, and it was just so common that we're in and out of court all the time. I was still working, somehow I managed to have a job. I was a personal trainer when I first got into my early adulthood and started to sort of shy away from those type of behaviors. And I realized the more law is coming at us, guys. Yous are always in court and that. Brother just got sent to jail and shit like this. And that's sort of what made me realize, I might go down a different route, my boys. You're going to come with me. I'm heading this way, man. I might go and see what this work life's about. I remember growing up around all these white fellas and Tongans, Chinese people, and that they had all this money, bro. They had all this shit, man. They lived well, cousin. I just remember those, growing up as a child and experiencing life for other families and that. And then I said, money gives you things, cuz I think you can buy some shit when you make some money out here. So I just started wanting to work. And plus, I never just wanted to ever get a job. I always wanted to work at something that I got, my first job as a personal traineeship, just to get my certificate 3 and become a personal trainer as well. Yeah, I wanted to just be a coach for, young footy players and things. I that thought in my mind of, I'm going to encourage these young fellas, you know what I mean? I'm going to be certified and then I'll try to help them do that. And yeah, I guess after I started to get a taste of the workforce, started to get a taste of it, of sort of the good life. And as I witnessed the brothers still going down that path, going to jail in and out and that, that's when I saw that everything changed in me. And I became more of a role model to anyone that would listen. Any of the brothers, I'd just say, man, look, cuz, it's actually, there's hot white chicks as well, mad parties and shit. Let's go this way, bro. This is way better out this way. And yeah, we just, started doing all little travels and started to get a whole different group of pals and, just started doing something completely, profound for anyone that I ever grew up with my whole life, bro. No one's ever done anything that I've ever done. Like social media, millions of followers and all this sort of, you know what I mean? Having everything that I've ever done, I just went down a different path and it just changed everything, started to formulate. And that is due to the taste I feel from getting, a feel of how other families live, and it's unfortunate, but everyone around those systems and the Aboriginal communities that don't ever get a taste or a look from the outside, they don't get to see what it's like to live, and do good for yourself. And well, they might get to witness it and see it, but they never feel like they have the confidence, the power within themselves to do it themselves. So once I started to realize, oh fuck, it's not that hard, bro. I'm doing all right. And that's when I started to try to encourage others, and I've got successful here and there. And yeah, I feel like through this account, especially down the track, I want to try to do that. And if I'm not already doing it, I want to be able to do that through there as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear the warrior in you, right? And it's like you wanted to feel the warrior, and he's part of you, right? Like there's part of this warrior in you. It's like I want to feel the warrior, and if it's fighting, okay, it's fighting. I'm going to feel the warrior, and if it's helping people, I'm going to feel the warrior, and if it's social media and telling stories and helping people, it's just. I don't know what your thoughts are, right? But it's still accessing the warrior in you.
Yeah.
And that's something I feel with quite a few of my Indigenous friends. It's just like there's this, I'm going to say, they can be big, but they have the quiet warrior assertiveness in them. It's like this feeling that's there. So we know suffering. We know hard things happen, but then there's still part of them. You're talking about true knowledge and self, wisdom of the self. It's in them. I feel that with you.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what that comes down to, I feel like this big question used to, always wander around. How did we give up this country so easily? Why don't I hear of any of our warrior stories? Where's of all our stories from, all the soldiers that, fought and tried to, try to get our country back or try to, keep our country? And that knowledge has just been hidden. I just never heard it, and I just felt so disappointed in the culture and the race, to be honest. And I just thought, man, where's the soldiers? Where's all our brothers out there that, where's the stories of us, putting, these fellas here to bed and all that. But yeah, it wasn't until I started to sit around some elders and started to really listen and learn, and then come to realize, holy dooly, there was some mad warriors. Man, there's some good stories out there. And and then that just answered a lot of why I have this feeling, why I have this little warrior spirit within me. And it's like, it's a feeling that's passed down, man. This is what thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, this is what these fellas have felt. That was their warrior kicking in because they're defending their country, and that same feeling just gets stronger and stronger and stronger with every generation. The next generation may have even more stronger warrior spirits. I ain't fucking dealing with any of this shit. Let's fucking go in, you know what I mean? And yeah, I guess over time you can't really shake that. You just have to do something with it. And I've managed to be able to do some good things with it.
Yeah. It's nice to experience it from my perspective, like seeing what you share on socials and the it's called his story for a reason, right? Like history, it's his story. And classic example, I was somebody that was fed, as you said, brainwashed with his story. And the more I learn and the more I spend time with Indigenous people and the country, is yeah, okay. A friend of mine said to me, Australia is a really hard country. Like it's hard, and part of what it teaches you is hardness, because that's what it requires to survive. It can, and yes, it's extremely resourced, but it teaches you this inner hardness that you can deal with things. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yep. I think there's definitely, it just builds the warriors in this country. There's the hardness, and yeah, you can't live here as a soft. You can, but you just won't be able to, live as free. There's a lot of other people out here fighting for our freedom.
Yeah. And that's something for me that I've only become aware of recently. Is so a friend of mine said to me, when Australia was invaded, they invaded around Sydney, Gadigal country, Peru's. And she said, the reason our people don't leave La Perouse and we don't leave Redfern is because it's still our country. This is a form of our resistance, and it doesn't matter what happens to us. This is our resistance. We are staying. And so then, I'm listening to Spotify and I'm like, I've been listening to that song for years. I didn't know it was about the resistance. And that is like, there's this immovable feeling that I get saying, no, we are here. We're not going. It doesn't matter what you do to us. We are not going.
Yeah. And funny you say that, because it's like a lot of Australians out here as well. It's like they're getting the connection to country as well, and it's like people are now realizing that we might have to listen to some Aboriginal people out here, and people that hold a bit of knowledge, and people that might be able to help us move forward with everything that's coming our way. You know what I mean? And it's funny though, because I like to, I talk and I say a lot of things now. And I used to be a shy man with no confidence, and I'd never be able to speak. I was always too worried about what people's thoughts are. You know what I mean? And when you now come to the realization that, you are who you are, cuz you can't change that. All you can do is build on that. Be better. Don't be that version that was shy and shame and had no confidence. You can go back to that if you want, but why would you ever always improve? You know what I mean? So I just started to distance myself from all those thoughts that people had about me. I said, fuck that. What's that doing for me? Nothing. You know what I mean? And I started to talk and I started to explain a lot of things about, our people and our culture and that. And then people started to hear, oh, shit, cuz you fellas might be able to help with the future actually. And because people had this, misconception that it's just all land, oh, it's just all birds, nature. And it is definitely a massive part of us, but that communicates with us. There's a lot of other things going on in this country now as well. And that everything, this nature, once that gets through to us, it tells us how to deal with everything else that we are suffering with artificial intelligence coming in, all the society driven things that's coming to change the way we live. You know what I mean? The future that's coming to enslave us. Are we going to accept that? Or do our people know what's coming? And do we stand together and fight against it? You know, like I said, 65,000 years of history and culture and knowledge, wisdom passed down. Put out a video the other day to say, Australians, you've known about us for 300 years, mate. That's an inkling of the span of life of how we've lived. I'm using technology like a master. I'm the master of AI. And the reason is I've used this thousands of years ago. You know what I mean? And it's just so
Yeah.
good to know that history does repeat itself. And if you listen to country right now, it'll become more vivid. It'll be clear about the history. I might even be able to tell you about the future. You know what I mean? Or what to do to try to, reshape the future for yourself. The community, just the country when it talks, when you connect to it, it's just absolutely amazing, man. To be a proud Aboriginal man connecting to country now is completely different to how I used to feel when I was assimilated to, white man world, looking at Aboriginal people disgraced and now accepting it and feeling proud and knowing that this country is way better when we all come together. Just an awesome feeling, eh?
Yeah, I just had this flash of a memory when I remember in 1988, January 26th, Mum took us to Sydney and we were near the Opera House and, there was the whole recreation of the first fleet, right? And hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people on the shore. And I was hanging out with the Indigenous people on the point. And I was amazed. I was like, what's going on here? And just feeling that pride of those people. And that's what I actually remember most about that whole day is just hanging out. And I was gone for hours and I got back and Mom's like, where have you been? I'm like, oh, over there. And so, as a kid, like kids are amazing at how they can feel things.
Yeah.
And I felt that. And it's, I also I have sadness, right, that white people have done what they have done. Real sadness, and that part of that, when you talk about true knowledge and knowing yourself, we had to become disconnected from ourselves is part of the requirement for us to truly know ourselves. It seems like that, that's part of the path of leaders. So, for example, for you to lead your people, I imagine it's beneficial to have experienced other families and other ways of living.
And that is definitely right. That's true. I didn't get to experience the homes and, what other families live like. I'd probably just live the same as all of us that are stuck in the cycle in the system and probably be in jail like most of my brothers. So in a way, I did take a lot from it and I learned from it. Yeah, I try to use that now for people that don't know about how other families live.
It's a hard road to to be the one that's gifted that.
Yeah. And it's hard to really sort of like go back. Like you said before, Australian people often think, oh, you have to get over the past and move forward. You have to really just, why do they keep bringing up that? Why can't you just come together and just, why do you keep coming? We have to address it. People have to know the real truth. And this is when people, when Aboriginal people are trying to talk and trying to get through to the Australians or anyone that wants to listen, there's truth that we're trying to share and truth about the country. And we are literally trying to share who people are, who you followers are as well. Okay. And that's like that truth knowledge. People might think they know who they are. I thought I knew who I was until I started hanging around Aboriginal people again. You know, I was lost
Mm-hmm.
around all these other families thinking this is life, this is the world, this is how we're supposed to go. So many questions, no one could ever answer any of them. No one could ever answer any question that I had about life. And all the questions is why do we have to do this? Why do we have to work every single day, bro? And then what do we do after that? Well, what do we have to do? Like, we're here in this one time of life. How do we spend it? Like, these are normal questions that I had. And these people, like when I was living in these other families, oh, you just have to pick a job that you like, okay? And then you work there for 40 hours a week or work your life away basically and then retire. And that's just, white man world. And then I get around black fellas and I say, oh, so what the hell's the purpose of life? What we're all out here trying to live for? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's this country. The country is life. We're a part of this country here. The country is what we are protecting and preserving, trying to learn. Okay. And, you go back into the dream time, how people created it. Apparently, how people created land hundreds of thousands of, if not millions of years ago. Okay. Might not have been in the human forms of, different dreamtime animals that then emerged into the humans. And since then, and ever since then, we've been just trying to connect and preserve with this country. And that's all it is. That's the purpose of
Mm.
who we are. Connect, preserve, and look after this country. Right? And just naturally, without ruining it, and just respecting it as much as we can.
Mm.
And now we just have a battle on our hands. We're still on the same mission, same mission, but it's just a little bit more barriers. There's other things in place now, but with the light,
Mm.
with unity, with other people helping, learning, and listening to us, the country will be a much better place.
Yeah, and I see you doing that. I see people responding to what you're sharing, putting out in the world. It's I know in Tibetan law, as in LORE law, they talk about the golden age, where it's love and understanding, and that all of humanity is immersed in that. And they say it's in 250,000 years. And when I read that, I thought, I've been so distressed that it's not happening in my lifetime, and trying to bring that about in my lifetime. But it's the evolution, and it's the long game of life. And I imagine for you and Aboriginal people, they know it's the long game. They know the country is here and always here. Yeah. Always has been, always will be, right? To use that little phrase. But that's been comfort for me in life, just knowing that, okay, it's a long game, and seeing the evolution from when I was a kid, and seeing my own daughter and her awareness of the world and awareness of herself, and her friends, how they have a greater connection to their true knowledge than I did. It was they can express themselves around themselves and what's happening for themselves, and knowing themselves much better than I could until I was 40 years old, really.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the evolution, but I also see it as being, it's a long process, and it's easy to get despondent and want to give up, or feel like we're not making progress
Absolutely.
when we can only see this far in front of us.
Yeah, that's right. But it's good that you say that. Yeah, it's always a feeling, and this is where on those videos that I post, you like you said, you see a lot of the comments and people on board. The feedback I'm getting is amazing. It's fascinating to see, Australian people are, listening, and somewhat, the messages, the private messages are even different again. You know what I mean? You're saying, bro, you opened up my eyes to a whole different world. Reality I didn't ever expect to know about, and messages, comments, all those things gives me good hope. It really gives me good hope because when I was younger, like I was explaining earlier, bro, playing around, mucking around, up to no good, doing this and that, and with the brothers and that, never really expected to live much older than 30 years old. Okay. And I didn't care. One of my brothers passed away tragically, unfortunately, because of, before that age, and that's due to suicide and, drugs and a lot of other things that, happen in our communities. And so it didn't really phase me. When my time comes, it comes,
Mhm.
whatever. But now, like you said, you see their evolution and you start to understand, oh shit, things might be going in a good place. And it makes you want to just stick around for a lot longer. It makes you just really want to witness it all and see how much you can actually, witness yourself. And, especially if you can be a little bit of a part of that change. It's even more
Mm,
rewarding and satisfying for yourselves. Like
mm,
I always
mm.
say, man, what a time to be alive.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It's certainly entertaining. We'll put it that way, yeah. It's
Absolutely.
like, and sometimes it's okay. If it's a bit of a horror film, I need to change the channel, or it's like, oh, okay, I'm enjoying this film. This is a bit of romantic comedy. I can get into a romantic comedy, or it's a good action film, or whatever it might be. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, this channel's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're for some reason we got to have all the channels, and I think that always the connection to the self, the connection to the self and presence, which is it's something that I've found nature country. As like nature just brings me back to myself all the time. That's my number one thing when I feel a bit lost and trying to reconnect. It's nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, definitely. That's what I mean. That's where all the answers. That's where nature is. It's so crazy when, like, I had no idea that Aboriginal people can talk to each other clearly from one side of the country to the other side of the country. You know what I mean? These type of things, powers and abilities and things like this. Like, man, I was distanced from it. I didn't really want to accept it, you know. And as soon as I did, as soon as I shoot the fuck up and listened to these elders, and things that came in and the things that I started to witness, and I started to witness, you know, human beings are weird, man. What the hell? Is this real? You know what I mean? Can Aboriginal people really do this shit? And yeah,
Yeah.
you come to learn things like that. And yeah, that's when you come to realize, oh, wow, this culture, this race, you know what I mean? This is the reason these followers have been around for hundreds of thousands of years. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
proud. Like,
Yeah.
just to be able to, I was sitting there one day. And I'll explain this. I was sitting there and I was in complete silence and I was just in my own little world and I wasn't really thinking of nothing. I guess I was neutral, zoned out. And I remember having this voice in my head and it didn't sound like anything I've heard before. You know what I mean? Like you got your own little voice there that talks to you all the time trying to tell you shit. But I sat there one day and someone just said hello. You know what I mean? From the other side of the country. And I had no idea that someone was talking to me. I'm just sitting there and, you got your own little thing there saying, no, get up and get a coffee, get a drink, are you hungry? All them like just little thoughts. And this one here said, "Don't bother." Well, what? And then there's this thing here said, "Oh, I got your attention." And like, I was actually being spoke to, and it wasn't my own thoughts. I could tell that someone who was communicating to me, and what really scared the shit out of me is that I thought I might have been tripping a little bit. But sorry, I don't drink. I haven't touched any grog for 5 years. I don't touch any drugs. I don't touch anything. So I'm tripping, man. As I can hear this voice clearly in my head, And then what confirmed it is a couple days later, someone messaged me on Instagram. Hey, bro, I'm talking to you a day ago. And I'm like, what? That was you. And then I'm like, yeah, bro, we all have powers and abilities and things. And if we need to get through to each other, we'll talk and we'll communicate. I'm like, wow, bro. Oh, yeah, let's
Yeah.
do Leon then. I said,
Yeah.
how do I talk
Yeah.
back?
Ah,
Yeah,
you
just
got an
things
answer
like,
for that one? How you talk back?
huh?
Have you got an answer for that one? How you talk back?
I'll tell you what. I thought I was talking back. Nah, that's something I have to tap into. I have to get
Yeah,
around the elders a little bit more and talk back. Like it's like he knows what I'm saying. He knows what it's like. It's weird because he knows what I want to say, but it's like I'm not saying it to him.
mm,
You know what I mean?
mm,
He goes, yeah, bro,
yeah,
I know what you're saying, but it's not coming through yet. You need to do this. You need to do this. Talk out there. Go here. Go and grab that leaf. Go and drink that water out of the river. You know what I mean? It's like
hmm
initiation or something. You have to do a few things before you can really, yeah, get access to your abilities and what you can do out here. But
yeah,
just yeah, it's
yeah,
absolutely wild.
yeah, 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 yeah. I have
And that's just one
it,
thing. Like I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that, or if your brothers and sisters have ever shared anything like that with you. But yeah, I didn't know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of how I live my life is before near death experience. It was all like, what is this telling me? My mind, what's right, what's wrong? Oh, okay, how do I do this? Whereas now it's listening. It's listening. I just, uh, it comes from somewhere different. So I just send it out, right? Like, so I'm putting my hands at my temples and I send it out. What's my question? I send it out and then I know I'm going to get the answer. But am I listening? And that doesn't just mean listening for words. It means listening for images. It means listening for things that appear in my life or people that appear in my life. And they're like, hey, have you tried this? That's what I was. How did you even know that? Right. Or it can even be a podcast or a post or something will, but all I have to do is put it out, let it go. Right. If I attach to it, then I'm coming into the mind, and the mind is contraction. Whereas the listening, that comes from expansion. That's like, just put it out. A friend of mine calls it the morphic field, and that we're all connected to the morphic field. And so as part of nature, we are all connected to it. That is nature, right? That is nature, the morphic field. And it's all about helping each other and evolution and things like that. So that's yeah, I've learned not to trust my mind. I've learned to trust that greater wisdom that comes in and just be. It doesn't mean I always do that, right? I don't always be in the trust, and I don't always get it right.
Yeah, I got a story. I don't know whether you know what. I'll tell you a story, man. That exactly
Yeah,
what you said. You don't necessarily ask questions and things. You know, you have your thoughts. You listen and you act. And one day, I used to work for Aboriginal Housing Victoria, and I was the property compliance officer. And what my role was, in particular, so my auntie had a Aboriginal housing place, and um, she tragically passed away, and left the house vacant. And a part of my job was to get the house ready for the next Aboriginal tenant to lease the place after her. So what happened was a lot of things got left in the house, just rubbish and things like this, a couple of bits of furniture and that, and no one claimed it, no one wanted it, so just leave it. And my job is to get the contractor to go around there, clear the house out and then start the repairs. So there's a few things left in the house, and I hired the contractor. Yeah, mate. In order to know what damages are really in there, start to clear out all the furniture, start to clear it all out, gut it. We're probably going to paint it and do everything to it. So I got him to clear it out. The house was fully cleared. And this one day in particular, bro, it's just still, I didn't ask no questions, man. I had little thoughts. I was listening and I was doing what I was told. And this is country. This is the perfect example of country. In my mind, I'm like, I need to go to Auntie Bonnie's house and do something there. In my mind, I'm like, there's nothing that needs to be done there. I've already got the house cleared out. Andrew's already got a date to ready to go back and do what he has to do. I don't really have any business going there at the same time I'm driving there, you know? I'm going to ask no questions, man. I'm doing exactly what I'm hearing. And so I'm going there and I pull up and I just look at the house. Oh, yeah, yeah. That's, where it needs to be. It's going to be cleaned up soon and someone's going to probably move in here. And I'm looking around. I'm like, I don't have any purpose of being here. I've got jobs that I'm meant to be doing and things, but I'm just acting. Okay. I have these thoughts in my mind, but I'm not in control of where I'm moving, what I'm doing, what's going on. And I walk straight to the back door, still in my mind, like, what am I doing, man? What the fuck, man? And I go to the door, I open the back door, and I walk in there. The house has been gutted, cleared out, and I walk straight into the bathroom. And this is the weirdest thing, man, is I walk straight into the bathroom without any thoughts, and I go in there and I just look up and I just go bang, and I just grab a necklace that was hanging on a shower, the shower bloody curtain thing. And I look at the necklace and I go, and I just leave the house. And I just walk straight out the house, man. I'm back to work. And in my mind, as I'm driving off, I'm like, oh, so that's what I had to come here for. I had to come and get the necklace. I didn't even know this necklace was here. I just got this house cleared out. I got Andrew to take every single little thing in this house to the tip or wherever he takes it. Why is there a necklace there? And how did I know that necklace was there? And I've never ever seen that thing ever before. Anyway, 2 days or 3 days later, I get a call from my uncle. Oh, my nephew, come pick me up here. It was like 8, 9 in the morning. Are you drunk or what? That's what I said to him. Yeah, I'm sorry, Neff, I'm drunk, but I'll be right. I said, good, I'm coming to get you. It's funny as prick when he's drunk, man. Always a good laugh, so I'm always happy to pick him up. And I go around there, pick him up first thing in the morning, and we're driving, and then out of nowhere, the necklace that I got from Arnie's house was in the car. And I said, yeah, their necklace there for you, and Arnie Bonnie that passed away is his sister. And my mum passed away 12 years ago, or about 10 years prior to Arnie Bonnie passing away. And yeah, so I didn't know whose necklace it was, who it belonged to. I thought it might have been Arnie Bonnie's. So he just gets the necklace and he grabs it into his hand and he goes, where did you get this from, Neff? So I got it from Arnie Bonnie's. And then he just he goes, I haven't seen this in years. Turns out that was Mum's necklace, my mum's necklace, that passed it on to Auntie Bonnie. And then it was been sitting at Auntie Bonnie's house until Auntie Bonnie passed away. And without any thoughts, I walked straight in and I retrieved that necklace back and I give it straight back to me uncle. And he was blown away. I said, man, I've got the house cleared out. I walked straight in and I grabbed it and I'd give it back to you. And he's like, he's an Aboriginal man, connected and all this stuff as well, but even he was spinning out on that story. You know what I mean? It's the country keeping our family connected. It might be just a necklace, but this has been passed down. You know what I mean? And I don't know where Mum got it from and all this, but it's in the hands of where it's supposed to be now. When I paid someone to clear it out and throw it in the bin, but didn't work out that way. So spin out story.
Yeah,
that one.
the power of yeah. It's all there, right? And our mind, time and time and time again, it needs the evidence. It's like, oh no, that can't be real. That forgets. That's my experience, right? It's like, even with what I've been through in my life, many, 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 many things where the listening was guiding me, where I still don't believe it all the time, or I forget.
Yeah.
It's like, no. So the beautiful reminders. Yeah.
And it's so good that you can actually listen to other people as well with the listening. Some people might be saying something to you, but when you're listening, you're hearing something completely different than what's actually being said, which is how I've been able to utilize my business, which is marketing for mob, which has helped Aboriginal businesses or anyone that aspires to try to create a business or do something bigger with themselves. Head over to Marketing for Mob over there and our little team will sort you out and see where you're supposed to be, because we listen, we learn, and we understand you and try to put you in a better place.
Yeah. Well, I'll put links in the show notes, and if anyone crosses my path that would benefit from working with you, I'll definitely send them your way, Kyran. So
Awesome. Appreciate you, mate.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for your chat and
Thanks.
your experience. And yeah, I get the feeling we'll meet in person one day. I'm not sure when, but
I
I
really
get that
hope so,
feeling.
mate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you too, brother.
It was a pleasure meeting
Yeah.
you and this yarn, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can have another yarn in the future.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Likewise.
Appreciate you, mate.
All right, you too.
We'll talk soon, hey?